What is a horrible smell? Ugh. Who likes a horrible smell? Nobody likes a horrible smell. It's one of those things that you just don't want. And you certainly don't want it in your work environment, because I'm looking at today how a sense of chemistry influences your work environment. And the work environment is so important. If you want to make money, if you want to be productive, if you want to enjoy your work, not just now but over time, your work environment has to be really laid out in the way you want it, but also in the way that's, believe it or not, organic. Yes, because if you have an organic workplace, a working environment, it's actually going to de-stress you. Now, you mightn't actually feel that straight away right now, but it's a fact. If you have a more organic type of workplace, it's going to de-stress you, which leads to more productivity in your work environment, which then of course leads to results being better for you and for your company and for your job. And that means you'll be happier, surely, in your work. So I'm looking at the facets, the bits and pieces that actually are put together to make out this particular organic workplace for you, so that you can figure it out yourself and begin to look at your own tastes and your own feelings towards your own actual emotions, because essentially this is what this organic workplace is trying to do. It's trying to feed into your emotions so that you feel better, so that you can actually be in a place that feels more organic, feels better, and that you feel better within your own emotional self to be more motivated to work for longer, faster, better, be more productive, and so on. And we want this to be sustainable. Who doesn't want their work to be sustainable? And okay, maybe you might want to leave your workplace and do a different type of job, or go to a different type of environment because of a boss or because of a certain aspect of work. That's fine. But what I'm talking about is the physical nitty-gritty of the environment. So let's look at it. There's a few areas that are looking at, and one of them is, I'm going to draw off a study from IKEA, the very successful IKEA business, which sells and makes lots of money. And I'm going to try this IKEA experiment out at the end, so watch later and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And one of the things that IKEA did, believe it or not, was they decided to do 4 big studies on their actual products and how people enjoy the whole experience of interacting with the products, because they felt that if there's a love there, if you can tap into the emotional feel with people, you can actually see then that they're going to not just buy right now, but their buying behavior is going to be more sustainable over the long term. And in these 4 studies, they decided to give different cohorts of people, different groups of people, as well, different topics and things to do. So the first topic, one of the most prominent ones that is from the studies, was Lego. Yes, Lego, the simple but enjoyable childlike game. Is it a game? Playfulness, certainly, of Lego. Constructing things, pulling things together. Now you see what we're talking about, because we know that if you purchase lots of products, not from IKEA but from other places, you go in the shop or you look up online and you check out exactly the listing of products and you go, whoops, that's the one I want. It has the right size, the right shape, the right design, the right color, and so on. And then you go in, you purchase it with your credit card online or in the store, and you go in with your cash or whatever, and it's popped into a box, put into a bag, wrapped up, and say, well done, monsieur, madame, and you just purchase what you want. And it's that simple. It's something just taken off the shelf and give it to you. But not so with the IKEA experiments. They wanted to allow people to construct the actual thing themselves, the product themselves. So the service aspect was given to the customer. And of course, this meant that IKEA didn't have to pay for people's labor or training to actually become brilliant people in order to construct things themselves. So they were actually saving on money in that regard. They were saving on time and storage of all of these things. Rather, they were going to push their products out there to people in this experiment to see if people actually enjoy the construction. So Lego, what they found was, of course, one enjoyable thing, but people had to construct it, and that's the part of the enjoyment. But another experiment that they used and looked at, another study as such, was origami. And again, origami can be tricky. It's from the East, and it's not something that people in the West that have a lot of money usually actually are very aware of. So in order to do it and to put it together, it's going to take a few instructions. It's going to take patience, time, albeit there is a plan or template to how you're putting a specific product together, even if it's origami. It still takes skill, it still takes knowledge, it still takes creativity, and that's something I'm going to touch on a little bit. But this is what they did. They gave people these things to do: construction of Lego, the construction of origami, and the results spoke for themselves. It meant that IKEA was a winner because they found that people enjoyed putting things together, and they enjoyed actually feeling a creative urge of putting things together. So there was a win-win situation for IKEA. They had saved money, saved productivity, saved labour, and they got the product sold, and people enjoyed putting them together. What has this got to do with the environment of where we work and chemistry? It's got everything to do with it, because if we are constructing and doing things in an environment where we like, and this was in people's homes with the IKEA project, and the studies of the Origami and the studies of the Lego, then they are happy. And this was what individually each customer of IKEA was experiencing, rather than them coming into the shop and looking around the shop and IKEA having to sell them the design of the workplace. Each individual person was happier in their own space once they're creative and doing their productive thing with the product that they purchased and thought they were getting good value with. Anyways, smart guys in IKEA, how can we look at this? We can look at it from a few points of view. One is our visual point of view. Of course, naturally enough, our visual space, what's around us, the colours, the pictures, the shapes, the sizes are really, really important. Two, we have to look at our acoustics, and the acoustics, of course, you can say music, guitars, and so on. The sound, the auditory, the volume, this is really, really important for us. As human beings, we take this in, we might think we're very visual in looking around, but actually the auditory stuff comes in really powerful as well. Then there's the olfactory, our smell, our sense of smelling pungent smells, or a whiff as such of something that's good or bad. This is really, really important. Think of your car air freshener and how that makes you feel, or if you don't have one and maybe you go into a car that has one. Think of being in a car with not so nice whiff. If you're locked in for a long journey, that's not good at all. So you want to create this environment, this chemical reaction towards, so that you're more productive. Then there's the gustatory, believe it or not, or sweet or spicy or tasting as such that's going to digest. That is hugely important as well with your environment. Then you've got the last one, which is the kinesthetic, how you can feel or touch things. And this was hugely prominent within the IKEA study, because people could touch and feel and put things together construction-wise. This feeling of Lego, now that I say it, I can feel it. I can feel the solid bricks and pieces in my hand. And the fun then that brings back from childhood. So it's all of this that really leads into the experience, but it's a chemical reaction. And there's different people that have different chemical systems in order for us to react and enjoy our environment, our work environment around us. One, you've got your serotonin. Your serotonin has to do with people that are essentially, that are emotionally driven. They want to succeed in that way. So if you're like that, it's going to be really important to have that environment to acknowledge that. Then you have the dopamine. And dopamine are, believe it or not, creative people. So they're pushing in the dopamine chemical system. They want to create, so they have to have a creative environment. Then you have testosterone-based chemical systems of people, where people essentially want to have a rule and order-based type environment. And then you have, lastly, more insightful, which is the oxytocin-led people. And these are going to be more intuitive to things around them. So if you try and mix all those four characteristics for people together in one big work environment, it's going to be tricky. For one, order as opposed to creativity can have a clash. So we want to be able to mix them together in a good way, or look at the IKEA experiment and notice how people could do it in their individual homes where they're comfortable themselves. And that's where I leave you with my trial and error, or just trial and success with trying to put things together, because this is the experience of IKEA. So I tried it now with this tricky pen and tried to figure out how I could put all four, well, inks as such into that spiral type encapsulation of success for us to write, get away with the colours. enjoy. And I did enjoy it. It made me feel kind of clever for a second, which is good. And plus, I realised if I don't exercise my fingers and be nimble, I'm going to just lose that ability. So there it is. Watch out for your chemistry in your workplace and your working environment to be productive and happy. I hope you are happy, and if you are, please hit that subscribe button. If you have already, thanks very much. Until next time though, have a wonderful day.